Welcome back, everybody, to the episode of the Legion Lads. I am your host, JR. Today we got Jose. What's up, man?
Yo.
So, not a whole lot of news from Star Wars Legion this week. It's been kind of just like everybody practicing, getting their league games in. Was that a league game or was that like a skirmish game?
That was what does he call it? The
Exhibition.
gate, huh? Yeah, it was an
Exhibition
exhibition.
game, yeah. I shouldn't say
My
skirmish because there's a skirmish mode, but yeah.
Yeah, and I had plans to do my league game for that weekend because I cleared it. But like I said, my opponent life happens, and so I ended up not having an opponent for this round. So I just threw it into the ether, and I was like, "Yo, I have time to play a game. Like anybody wants to play." And then I noticed Rob was also asking for a game on TTS because there's a list he wanted to try out for Invader League. So good luck in that, Rob. That's awesome. I don't have the patience to do Invader League for TTS. Um,
It's a
but
lot easier. Like I hate that you don't want to learn it because it's faster and it helps you get better, in my opinion.
no, I have TTS. I rather just like I'm like Nick. I rather just put models on the table.
Sure, and I agree with that. Like if anytime you want to just put models on the table, it's perfect. I would do that too. But to get your practice games in and to learn faster and to play new units that aren't out yet, like I'm pretty sure that they might have Rebel Cell and the Riot Control Squad in there already, if not soon.
Yeah, I definitely want to. I got it just for the last league because I know some of the guys were coming like from the next city over, and so my solution, to asking Rob was like, hey, like making these games like connect is going to be kind of hard. Like, could TTS be an option? And he was like, it can just make it the last priority if that's what it has to do. But I never ended up even playing anybody because I kept losing to everybody's meta list. So I was like, oh, cool, I'll just sit here and play the rest of the losers. But no, I definitely need to do that. But yeah, that's where I was with that. So Rob answered the call. Um yeah, he asked me for some units I did not have. So he ended up bringing his Dewback Vader list, which he's been very, very, very successful with. He's putting in the reps into it. I faced it in our first when I did my learn to play, I only did about 3 rounds, and that list is scary. So that's what he brought to our exhibition game this time.
How'd you guys do?
Uh, it was funny. So I don't I don't set the tables up at the shop, number one, because like not that I'm lazy, but like I had just got there and I'm like, I'm gonna eat, bro. I'm hungry.
Oh, that's the worst, bro. That's so bad.
So he was like, oh, I'll set up the table, and I'm like, all right, cool. And like, I like when Rob sets up the table because he's like, blah, and then I'm like, you remember the 6-inch sidebars, right? He's like, oh man, and then he puts them out and condenses everything. He's like, all right, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't care. And he's like, yeah, it looks like enough. And then it's just this table that just you don't know what kind of table you're gonna get with Rob. Like when we play a JR table, there's line of sight blockers for days, Jedi's are gonna be amazing, and there's nothing you could do about it. When you play on a Jose table, long lines of sight and melee units will die. So Rob, it's like you don't know what you're gonna get. It's always if he's doing like some thematic table like he did at the last tournament he was at, it's amazing. It's probably not functional like you said, but like it's a thing to look at. But when you're just like, here's a bunch of terrain, do something, and Rob just like comes up with these like Frankenstein like concoctions. Like he had an Obi-Wan trophy like in the middle of the
I
table.
saw that. I was like, what is this?
So yeah, the Rob tables are fun to play
Which
on.
is funny because like I didn't know he set up the table because I know I got there at the end of your guys' game, and there was that train piece in on Rob's side, and he was just like, "Yeah, this was a bad idea. Like
He
this
took
terrain
that
thing.
side.
I know, and so I'm thinking to myself like, oh, you did it to yourself. I thought you made the table, but
No, I like the table. It was like a train wreck, like, maybe not like a train wreck. I don't mean the table was a train. I mean like the piece was, well, you've seen it. It was like a train, like a long like space train with
very
like
heavy on LOS for
it
sure.
had like AT legs like on the back of the trailer, like a moving train. So the way he set it up was really cool because like it looked like it just parked here to like refuel or whatever. The Empire dudes are just chilling, and all of a sudden, the CIS comes out. We want your legs, and it was a great table. Um, but like when you set it up, I'm just like I because he asked me about the table, and my whole thing was, I don't care. And I told him, I said, the reason I don't care is because when we go to these events, when we go to tournaments, when we go to anybody else's backyard, like, we don't have control over that table. So the way, whatever you put out's the way we're gonna play it. And so the way he had it laid out, I have a photo of it. It was on one of the sides. It was two corner buildings, a building next to the corner building, the train depot set right there. The middle had those 40K terrain crates
Mhm.
with another building in the middle, off center, the Obi-Wan statue off centered, and then on my side of the table it was two long like factory buildings
Yeah.
with like a type of little bunker to separate them, and then some other buildings off to the side. So it was great. Like it had cover. But plain droids, you kind of want something bigger than a little like box. You got to scrunch everybody behind.
Mhm.
And I did not bring super squad, so I didn't have the luck of here's my 10-foot ruler. I'm gonna put droids everywhere. But yeah, so that's the table he laid out, and so we did the roll off, and I want to say I won it. Yeah, I think I had blue player.
Mhm.
So getting into the game. So remember I told you my biggest problem with the game was I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know what the cards were. I didn't know what anything did. So I'm building a list for what I don't know?
Mhm.
So I ended up ordering on Etsy the battle deck and the scoring mat, and I was actually able to like sit down and read these things. I'm like, oh, okay, I get this now. I can work with this a little bit. So when I actually started brainstorming, I ended up going with based on my list, I ended up going with marked targets, bring them to heal, sweep and clear as my secondaries.
Mhm.
My primary was shifting priorities, bunker assault, and close the pocket. And then my advantages were advanced intel because everybody,
Oh yeah.
um, fortified position because I got droids, and cunning deployment because as useless as that card is to a lot of people, it works so well on the list that I made to
I would
be able
say
to
it's
reuse that.
I wouldn't say it's useless, right? It's definitely a lot more useful than the other ones that you didn't take, right?
Well, I'm basing that off on like the consensus around when you hear people talk about the stuff like that Dodge one is not like heavily favored in any way.
Oh yeah, I think there's like a tier, like advanced intel is definitely the most popular. I actually think cutting deployment, in my opinion, would be the second best, and then fortified position. I mean, heavy cover is obviously nice, but I mean, if it shows up, Dodge is a
It
guaranteed take one off the top.
Yeah, but when you're going into high velocity Gar sniper,
Sure. We're not
that
even going
dodge
to
means
talk
a
about
zero.
Gar. Let's just move Gar over here.
Just remember, if there's one thing that you can count on with good old Jose is that I jump off the ship before it goes completely meta.
But I don't understand why. Like this is your year right now to get the most use out of Gar because they're so good right
Yeah, I honestly was looking at it. I'm like, my take on my surgical list might have been wild with this update
now.
because I would have been able to to do all that shenanigans I did, not worry about P2 pricing and have bonkers Anakin and have like, well, remember I was generating like, damn, what was I was generating like almost 12 surges around.
Mhm.
So maybe, but I don't
I
know.
I think you should.
I don't like playing the overpowered stuff. Like I like playing against it. I just don't like
Why
when
though?
I
Don't get me wrong. I understand the whole not wanting to play the meta because it's boring. But like, if it was like, okay, your favorite Star Wars character is Anakin, right?
yeah.
This is the time to play Anakin, right? Like, if Anakin was replaced with the abilities with Darth Maul, like Darth Maul had Anakin's ability, you best believe I'm playing Darth Maul.
It's just I don't take I'm a tactician. Whether anybody thinks otherwise, that's up to them. I'm a tactician. I'm also a gambling man, and I like that makes me unpredictable. Because there's been times where in our games you're like, I did not think you were gonna do that. Yeah, and then I'm like, I didn't think so. I didn't think I was gonna do that either. And sometimes it costs me, and sometimes it doesn't. But I know when to dial it in and get tactical, and I know when not to. Um, and yeah, this is Anakin's year, but I was wrecking shop with not busted Anakin, just because I knew how to play him and I enjoyed that. I loved being that in tune with him. I'm not gonna say I'm like as in tune with Anakin as you are with Maul, but like Anakin is probably my most rep played unit like ever. Just played him from day one, played him when he sucked, played him when he got better, and it's just I
Have you
don't.
played him since he's got all the buffs?
No, the second buff.
Man, I think if you're playing now, you're gonna get addicted. You're talking about gambling, and this is where you gamble and you have like an 80% chance of winning. You're gonna be like, oh, I'm sucked in. That's my new
Yeah,
addiction.
yeah, no, I get it. Just my thing always comes back to I'd rather take you the distance with you using a meta list, with anybody using a meta list. I'd rather take you the distance, and at the end of the game, you're like, I won, but you struggled. It wasn't as easy as you thought because like when we went to Bakersfield and I played the EXD player, like he crushed Rob,
Mm.
and then I get him turn two, and the only reason I lost was because I ran out of time. Like had I finished within regulation, like I would have beat him because all I had to do was drop my freaking ATRT on the center point, and there was nothing he could do about it. You know what I mean? It was bring those soft B1s in, and I'm gonna blow them up with Rex and Cody. You know?
Right. Yeah.
So, but that's just my thing. Like, you'll never catch me playing EX cheese. You'll never. Actually, I take it back. I tried Rexstar when I first started, and then you whooped me, and I never went back to it. Um, so that was the only time I've ever done anything meta. But other than that, like, I don't enjoy that. I don't. It's
Well,
not fun.
what I'm
Like,
saying is like you don't have to play 501st. You don't have to play a super commando art heavy list with Anakin. You could just play Anakin, right? Like aside from the meta, you could just put Anakin in any Garless and it would at least be somewhat good. You know what I mean? Like
to be
put him with the
honest,
Wookiees.
oh man, I still need to paint my Wookiees. Um, honestly, like the other day I was thinking, I was like, man, I'm actually more interested in Cody. Now I can
Yeah.
bring a Saber and probably three ATRTs. Get out
Mhm.
of here.
Mhm.
But yeah, so anyway, sorry for the tangent. But so that's what I did with that. So getting into my list for that game was also something as you know and as you experienced on Saturday, BXs just die to everything.
Yeah.
BXs die to everything. There's nothing you can do about it. Statistically speaking, they should save 50% of the time. Statistically speaking, we've watched them die way more times than that, one shots after one shots. So I got in a conversation with you where it's like, I need to get rid of these guys, like, but I don't have Magna Guards because Magna Guards was the way to go, in my opinion, especially with the way I was running that list. So I'm looking around and I'm like, what can I replace these BXs with? And lo and behold, I had three pairs of Staps unpainted because I bought them, put them together, never put them on the table. Now, not saying I don't have any experience with speeders, but I've ran my fair share of Empire's speeders and barks, however if you want to classify those as speeders or not really. So I knew the game, and I've played with you enough to and have like suffered against them enough to know that they're durable when they're in the right situation. So I dusted those bad boys off and put them in the list first, and Dooku right before them, and I was like, let's make it work. So my list, after talking to you and hammering some things out. Now, we didn't come to a complete agreement. We did have some differences, but I was able to still work it out. So I ended up going with CIS. It was Count Dooku with burst of speed, force push, force reflexes, and aggressive tactics because I got sick and tired of rolling surges and not having surges. I was gonna have surges. Actually, the aggressive tactics was on Grievous. Then Grievous with recon intel, aggressive tactics. One B1 battle droid unit with one extra dude. Two B1 battle droids, regular size with the PK worker droid. And I had two B2s with the Ha Trooper against what we're all hearing is go with the ACM, but ACM is not where it's at for me. Not with what I was trying to do with this. So I went with the Hot Trooper with the T Series Tactical Droid for that little sweet little 3 red, 1 white, no cover. Yeah, I know cover's not really guaranteed, but I'd rather have not guaranteed over really not guaranteed. Like I don't want that chance.
Yeah.
Then I topped it off with one Stap Rider with HQ uplink and two Stap Riders for link targeting array for 1,000 points even 10 activations.
Seems good. Like I know stabs are very fragile, but I feel like if you have a way to keep them to go last and then go first, like I think they pay for themselves. And then if
That
they do survive, like that's just icing on the cake.
that was the plan with this. The plan was to push everything out, take two uncontested shots with no cover from the B2s because I have I played a ruthless round one, so I was gonna get that move.
Mm.
So it's just a move, and throw the football and see what happens. But what ended up happening was we ended up getting to the ban phase, and the first card that Rob had on his end was what was it? Where's it at? Uh
Find it, Jose. Find
I know I should have been more prepared, jerk. Oh no,
it.
so the first on Rob's end, the first thing he flips up on his advantages, I'm not going in order for the listeners. I'm just telling you like, what I saw. My brain sees things totally different. So he had advanced intel. And I'm like, yeah, no. I told him to get rid of it. And then so he flips it, ends up being fortified positions, and he's like, oh, cover, cool. And then he sees my flip side ends up being cunning deployment, and he's like, what are your other two options? And I was like, advanced intel and fortified position. He's like, yeah, I'm cool with you having that. And I'd rather have that in the stat list because of the saps. It's not locked to a trooper unit. It's the dodge one is to 3 units. So it's
Yep.
more dodges for my stats. And so I
Yep.
was like, cool. So then I flipped the primary, and then it landed on bunker assault, and then Rob took blue player because the secondary was bringing them to heal. He's like, I always play this, and I'm like, I'm okay with that. So I was like, okay, well, I guess we're staying here. And he's like, oh, you think you're gonna blow up my bunkers? And I'm like, yes, I do. And then so that was the game state. I have a W key list. Like everything is going in your face, whether you like it or not. I will get to those bunkers eventually. How I get there is up to you.
Mm.
So we start the game off. I play Ruthless, and I forgot what he played. He played Vader's 3 pip 2 pip.
Where he gets the reliable two
Yeah.
or motivate release.
he took the reliable too. Well, he played it, and then as we're going, he's like, "How close do I want to deploy Vader?" I was hoping he was going to deploy Vader. If he deployed Vader, Grievous and Dooku were gonna say "F the team," and they were just gonna bum rush Vader. Like I didn't freaking Jedi Hunter and Makashi. Vader stands no chance, you know. So I was waiting.
Hmm.
He decides not to infiltrate and just takes his reliable too, and I called him a a B word. Um, so we get to deploying,
Well, he's
and
got to infiltrate, like, he's got to reveal the card before he reveals the 3-pip. So you knew he was
yeah.
going to infiltrate.
Well, I was hoping he was.
Oh, yeah,
But because he looked at my list, he's like, ooh, and I'm like, yeah, ooh.
yeah, yeah.
So we get
Honestly,
in.
I don't think you ever infiltrate. I think you just take the reliable too.
I don't think I've played Rob a time he hasn't infiltrated.
I just think it's a trap because when Vader gets shot at, well, he's got deflect, so I guess that's a thing. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, it's he needs the surges from when he's in melee. That's where he really wants to be, right?
It doesn't matter against Dooku.
Sure, right? Because you got the Makashi. I'm just trying to weigh the options here. I'm just like, I think I'd rather have the reliable two over the infiltrate.
The last time we played, he infiltrated and it caught me off guard. Like I was like, oh, how am I gonna answer this? But it was only because I forgot that the tanks don't stop you anymore from going through stuff.
Right.
So I was like, dang it. So I learned that lesson real quick. But anyways, so we go at it and we start deploying. I don't know exactly the order, so forgive me. But he sends Krennic out first because you know you want your exemplar.
Hmm.
And bro, he puts Krennic on the back end of that. Oh, so first off, when we do the bunkers, his bunkers have to go literally on the other side of the train where he has to speed down to get over there.
Hmm.
And then once he gets there, like he's stuck behind the cover or has to be over the cover.
Because of the
Perfect.
train, right?
Yeah, perfect for
Yeah.
me because I can run my units and touch the cover and it doesn't even matter because it's on my side. And mine ended up being in front of my two buildings that were on the left and right side, which
Mm.
I had no problem with because my whole plan was he has to come get mine, and my opinion is my list is gonna drive up there and just bonk him on the head with everything I got as I'm walking up there. So he has to not only does he have to try to get to mine, but he has to go through me to get to mine. So he deploys Krennic, and I'm just like, I know I shouldn't have did this. I shouldn't have, but I did. Mount up, stat. I put the stat. Bang. Boom. Sent it. Now because
Wait,
of
wait, you deployed it first?
yeah, he deployed. He deployed. I could once again. Hold on. It's yeah. No, no. You'll see the method
Okay.
to the madness. I
Okay.
swear.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the stat has one dodge from my advantage card, and
Mm.
he has like two surges from the Grievous card because I played Ruthless. So I have surges all around. Double moves, three dodges. He has an aim from getting the order. And I'm like, I've seen JR shoot this shot a million times. I'm getting crit two automatically. I'm getting 4 hits. Money. Roll. One crit.
Oh my
All right.
God.
All right. Here's the aim. Roll. One hit. Oh my god.
So,
so so I think Krennic took one, but here's why it's good. Who hates Death Troopers and faces them more than anybody? Me.
mhm.
Krennic needs some backup. So what do you think Rob deployed?
Death Troopers.
He deployed the Death Troopers, takes a hammer shot into the stats, dodge, 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 and now his Death Troopers are exposed. And Death Troopers are one that I think besides the Dewbacks in his list, the Death Troopers are like a powerhouse unit for him because they have all the shenanigans. They get some junk from freaking Krennic, and I'm just like, all right, cool. B2s go. The B2s roll up and I start peeling Death Troopers off. And he had no choice. He had to put them out there. So we start jockeying back and forth, and at the end of this turn, the Death Troopers are on one wound. left. Like the super units, I ignored everything.
Mhm.
I'm pushing everything in. I put Grievous alone on an island to just stand in front of his freaking POI, like bring it, you know? I mean, I knew Grievous, you know, I probably facing the Dewbacks was not the best choice, but he saved. He saved like a boss. And so I had built up so much suppression on the Death Trooper. I tried to score the panic points to go up right away,
Mhm.
and I killed it. I was like,
Damn.
okay, well, the trade was good because the stat killed it. So
Yeah.
70 for whatever. Vader finally comes out, doesn't do nothing but positioning really. Um, by that time, everything's set. So I score, we don't score any points. I missed my opportunity on Bring Them to Hill to check that box. We go into round 2 and I play Grievous's well, that term prior, I had recon on Grievous, so when he
Mhm.
pushed his dewbacks up, I was able to double move a Grievous and then shoot with Grievous just to try to build up the suppression. That's gonna matter soon. So then we get into round 2, and I play Grievous's one pit, just expecting the I'm in range to run up and smack the nearest dewback, but I'm like I have to figure out what I'm gonna do because my staps are like out in the middle of no man's land,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, okay, here we go. And Rob plays Annihilation Looms, just boom, suppression everywhere, and I'm like, this is a good and bad thing. I'm
It's
droids. I
good for
don't.
you. Yeah, you don't care about being suppressed.
It made it weird that bring them to heal was in his like Krennic wants to suppress things, but
Mhm.
it's also making a negative scoring experience on yourself, right? So hits me with Annihilation Looms, and at that point I'm like, damn it, I gotta go to Grievous now because our boy Grievous, you know, we need one more courage on him. He's only courage 2. So I roll. I don't get the suppression off, but luckily he didn't take any shots prior. So I no, I was suppressed. Sorry, he did have to. I had to move Grievous up once, and no, it was one. Yeah, because I moved Grievous up and then did a standby. That's right, because
Mm.
I'm protecting my point.
So you did get the
Um,
suppression up.
yeah, I did get it off. Yeah,
Mm.
and so the first thing Rob does is he runs a dewback down my throat, headbutts Grievous. He spurred twice, so he got the dewback there. He hit Grievous, and my Grievous boy saves were wild. I also had the dodge, so that doesn't hurt either. He ended up hitting Grievous for 1, and I'm like, cool. Now the dewback is sitting at 5 suppression. And yeah, so I'm like, all right, cool. As long as nothing gets over here, like this guy's screwed. So then it's my turn to go. So with the staps, I start picking off more shots. We're going back and forth. He blows one of them up. The Dodgers paid for themselves, man. They stayed alive longer than they should have, and I was actually making cover saves this game. Rob's like, here you go, and I'm like, here you go, and oh hey, I blocked 3. you know, okay, and then I'm gonna dodge these ones. You know, like it was
Yeah.
he was like, man, what do I gotta do? You know,
Mm.
and but of course, you know, I got to roll against the crits, and you know, white saves are gonna white save, but you know, Staps being pretty chunky, they're super good B1s on bikes, which is literally what they are. So it took a while. He finally blew one up. By that time, I managed to get Dooku into position and put him by this building with the standby, just to get ready for my Dooku rush. I measured it to where if anybody got involved, Dooku would move further up and get ready to either go after Vader or get ready for his burst turn for the
Mm.
following round because cunning, nothing can beat me. I'm gonna beat down your throat.
Right.
Um, and then I had one stab sitting on his point, one lone stab just sitting. I'm trying to bait him out to get that Vader out, and the one stap is just sitting there, just taking, dude. There, he's shooting at it. It's not dying. It's not dying. I'm making my saves. I'm making my blocks. I'm using dodges. I have surges. Like it was crazy. Like it's that swinginess we were talking about.
Right.
Um, so I continue to move up the B2s. We're shooting. So my whole thing with the B2s is the reason I like the Ha over the ACM is because Ruthless on the Ha with the SCD is like a guaranteed shot unless they're completely out of the bounds. I get that shot, which then
Right.
sets me up to move up into my range 2 shots. And while that's happening, my gun's reloading and I still have the one red to chuck across the room. And then the when the turn cycles again, now I have that full boat plus the 3 red and the white. And it's just I've rolled ACM so many times in my 2 previous games. It's just not reliable, man. I've had it stripped by cover so many times, and I get it, it's volume of dice, but to me, I'd rather have the open shot, for sure open shot, and not let them roll any dice against it.
But the drawback is that, you know, well, the pros for the ACM is it rolls three red dice and it's cheaper than the Ha. The Ha, well, three reds for the ACM. The Ha rolls two reds and a white, and it's is it still tappable or is it not tappable anymore?
Is it still what?
Tap, like you got to tap it. I need to look
Yeah,
at
but it has cycle.
sure, but like that's all also the drawback. You either got to be recovering every turn to get the Ha every turn, or you got to get it every other turn. Like the ACM is always on, even though it's got a shorter range. It's just, in my opinion, the better gun right now in this meta.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people are saying, but just in practice, like I was doing way more work with the Ha, like on my Ha turns,
Hmm.
because the Ha was just the option to get me in. Once I'm in, I got my regular black guns, and I'm getting surges from Grievous. I'm taking aims if I need to, but like when that Ha comes back up, like I'm barraging you. Like there were times where Rob was eating like 6, 5, 6, and no cover, like having to force those rolls.
Hmm.
And like it was paying for itself. And if it gets to B2s get to a point where you know you don't need that Ha. It's nice to have it, but you don't need it. But yeah, the ACM's better at that point. But by the time I'm hoping to be in deep in with B2s, like you shouldn't have anything really that's gonna really hurt me or stumble me.
Hmm.
You should have a bunch of picked apart models if the list is doing what I intended it to do, which it was. The stats are just here's 2 models here, here's 3 models here, here's a wound here, here's a wound here. Like he took a standby with Vader, and I chugged the freaking stat over the wall because I wanted him to burn that standby with Vader,
Hmm.
and and I wanted him to waste the attack on the stat. Instead, I think he repositioned himself, but it is what it is. The object was to make sure that I burned that. But anyways, I positioned everything to where um the dude the he was gonna have to make a move onto his point to make sure that I don't score it and try to kill whatever's there. But the problem was, by him doing that, he pre-measured to the dewback that was gonna panic.
Hmm.
So when he pre-measured, he's like, "Oh, my Vader can get here." Now here's my thing. I am against pre-measuring visually, not in a cheating way or hey, this. It gives your opponent too much information. Um, because I knew where he wanted to be to hit that 4 range. So I moved Dooku and took a standby and measured out where he wanted to be for that 4 range and made him make a decision because he could move on to that point and blow up the stat, or and that would trigger my Dooku to come up, which would mean I'm prime real estate for my 1 pip, and the point is still tied.
Hmm.
And but he is due back over there, wouldn't panic, and he would win that point in the back. Um, but he didn't want to do that. So what ends up happening is he just stays back, and that due back panics, and I secure I think his front point, and it was just weird. Like I'm still learning the throws of the game, but you had got there, and he was like, let's just play this next round." let's just play this next round. I want to see where it's gonna go. We'll give it some more. And I'm like, cool. What I didn't know is, keep in mind, I'm still not in tune with the scoring of this game because there's so many different ways to score. And when Rob chose not to engage Dooku, that essentially won me the game. The reason it won me the game was because that point, I ended up taking that point, I believe. His Dewback panicked, giving me the 2 points I needed to win the game
Mm.
because I beat him 5-12. Now, I'm like I said, when I say I don't know about how the scoring works, like Rob was like, no, you have a suppression here, you have this, you score this, you score that, you score this, and I'm just like, oh yeah, it is 12. And so we finished, I think, at the end of three, because I would have scored at the end of three. Um, and winning it, and it just sucks. I didn't get Dooku as involved as I wanted to, but I realized, like, nobody wants to fight Dooku. No,
Uh, I think you don't want to fight him in melee, right? But I think you want to shoot at him.
dude, he I don't know why he did. Well, it was good positioning on my part, but even then, like, I figured he would have challenged me on that spot with Vader.
Mm.
But I think maybe it was probably he didn't want to, I guess, miscalculate and then lose to cunning and then have Vader go down there.
Mm.
Because if there's one thing Duke is good at, it's getting rid of your immune pierce, and we all know when your immune pierce goes away, like,
Things are
anything can
different.
happen.
Oh yeah. So a couple
So
questions then.
yeah,
Question number one is, I think, well, it's not even a question, it's more of a statement. You got to learn how the points work because that's huge. That's how the game is played now. Like scoring those
points are for
points.
losers. I won and I didn't even know I won.
So that's number one. You need to learn that scoring thing. Number two is now that you won a game, you like the system more, or do you still think you need to give it more time? Like, I'm curious about your opinion. 'Cause I know the last two games you lost, and this is technically your first win, right?
Yeah. Um, it's the system is getting growing on me.
Mm.
Um, I still don't like the deployment off the wall. I that's what I know. It's like that's the way the deployment is, but to me, it's like I'm not a fan of that. The picking system is a little weird. Like when you guys were talking about it, I guess he banned your forward intel or whatever it was, and then you guys were talking about it, and he's like, "Well, you could try to pull it again." I'm like, "You can?"
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up actually. So what happened in our game was when we flipped over my advantage, I think I had cunning deployment. I ban it because I want advanced intel, and the second card was advanced intel. So then he bans that, and then I flip over my fortified positions. Then we got the talking, and we haven't
I
clarified it. And maybe
I don't think it works that way.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Maybe in the next podcast we could do a rules questions on it, because what he was telling me was that I could then reshuffle if I wanted to ban my fortified position. Then we could reshuffle the deck to see if I can get advanced intel again. We could be wrong. We didn't check the rules on it because we just wanted to play. So perhaps the next week, guys, we'll have a little update on that. But what happened then is that I shuffled it and I flipped over and it was advanced intel, and then he banned it again, and then I forget. I think it was 45 position that again that I got or
Yes.
something.
So I only don't think that that's right because you couldn't unban stuff in the old system. Now, that was the old system, I get it, but I don't think so. If anybody watching this podcast, we get some people commenting, and I love it. So if any of you guys listening know the answer, like, let us know that we're doing that wrong or that was done right. Just to help us out. But yeah, no, I'll dig into that for the next podcast. Um,
Yeah, I was
uh,
gonna, last question I was gonna ask you was were you ever down in points? Like were you behind in points at any
no,
time?
no.
Okay.
No, like I said, I didn't even know I was like we were tied most of the game, or mostly we were tied like the second round. No, no, I wasn't behind. Yeah, I don't think I was ever behind.
Okay. Okay. Um,
So suck it, John. He couldn't come back.
wait, did you watch that Wookiee game yet?
No, 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 no.
Oh, you
I
wouldn't like it.
honestly like I've been painting your stuff, and I've been so stuck on World War Z, the novel, that
Mm,
I'm listening to. There's this guy on YouTube who's like reading the chapters, and like if you've never, the movie's okay. If you've never read or listened to World War Z, like by Max Brooks,
mm.
it is amazing. Go on YouTube. I'll send you the link, dude. It's a nice listen, but I've been just painting your horde while listening to zombie hordes. So,
Hell yeah.
but yeah, suck it, John. I know you're gonna listen to this.
No, he was. I still need to watch that Wookiee game, but what he was telling me was like the Wookiee guy was down the whole time, and then he came back, and it's just like if that's the case, like I'm really curious if you just stick it into round five and just focus on the objective, even though you guys will be deleted, like can you come back from it? You know?
It sounds like it because the last episode of Stabcast I was listening to, Ryan was talking about a game he was in, and I don't know exactly I don't remember it was like how it all went down, but like he said that the guy was getting pummeled, like pummeled,
Mm.
and then out of nowhere the guy rallies back and wins.
I'm
I'm like,
saying,
oh
you know, like
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah.
I'm willing to be swayed. I think it's gonna come down to certain game types that can do that, I guess. Not the ones I've played, like Bring Them to Heal sounds like it can definitely reroute you back. Um, because if you're down, then you're gonna score more than your opponent's gonna score off that card when it comes to the panicking or the suppressing of the units. So that
Mm.
makes sense, you know. If I have two guys and you're scoring two and I'm scoring six of yours, like I'm gonna come back, you know. So maybe that. Like I said, I'll have to go back and listen to that, but no, like the game's growing on me. There was a comment on our last video, where the commenter had said that, I need to take a step back and reevaluate the game. I'm, not, I'm paraphrasing here. Reevaluate the game because the game is now more about sit here and hold this.
Mm.
And I took that into consideration, and he was right. It was sit here and hold this, but I didn't have to sit here and hold this because I ran over there and shot everything. But yeah, sit here and hold this. Having Grievous hold off two dewbacks, having my stat, as dumb as it sounded, sitting on the point with the dodges, and just being a nuisance. Like it does help. So yeah, I'm excited to continue to go on. It's not as bad as I thought.
Mm.
It's just a flavor difference. Like, you like that good old you've been drinking Coke your whole life, and then you find a Sam's Club machine and you get that Sam's Cola and you're like, what is this garbage?
It's very much, in my opinion, like just unlearning the old ways and really learning the new ways. And there's definitely going to be some things that, that you kind of struggle with, right? Because you're just like, but I would have got heavy cover two off the top. I definitely think potentially, just sticking it out and focusing on the objective helps you come back in the later games because of how swinging cover is. So it's just like you never know when those swinging cover dice come in your favor and just might win you the game. But yeah, our audience, when you guys leave comments and feedback, we appreciate that a lot. I know one of the commenters talked about me getting closer to the mic. Fortunately, I'm using my computer mic. I have a microphone that I need to hook up. I just didn't do that today, so that's on the to-do list.
Yeah, no, no, also having my own deck helped. Like not playing, pissing in the wind here, actually having a deck and
Did
building
you
around that
did you
makes
pick
a
your
big
cards?
makes a yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
shifting priorities because out of all the missions, that's my favorite.
Mhm.
And I figured like if we play shifting priorities, like I got the stats. I can just send the stats for those ones that are moving away really far.
Yeah.
And then bunker assault because I feel like between the B2s and Grievous and Dooku, I can make it to those bases and with the stabs if I need to, which was a big play for this game was sending that stab on that point.
Mhm.
And then my last one was close the pocket because it's just old school key positions.
Yeah.
No, and intercept the transmissions.
I'm definitely still getting used to playing all the objectives. I'm definitely trying to put myself in the positions where I haven't played before. Like bringing them to Hill. I don't think I've ever played that one before yet. I guess I'm kind of getting to a little bit comfortable with some of them, and I'm just like, yeah, let's play that one because I know how to play that one, really good. So I feel like I'm gonna get bamboozled one game and just be like, I don't know how this one plays, but we'll figure it out.
So speaking of plays, how did your game go with Rob?
Yeah, so I feel so bad. We both just beat on Rob on Saturday. Just so yeah, my game he ran. I actually brought Snail Take for him because he wanted to run EXD, and I was fine with him proxying. Proxying is okay, Nick.
Badger.
We like
No.
proxies.
Nicholas, it's not okay. I got your back. I
It's
will be your
always
voice.
okay.
No.
Um, so yeah, I let him proxy EXD, and he let me proxy Geonotions because you're painting them right now. And it it was interesting because like there's two different play styles that I feel that people I play against is I had Pago and Sunfac, and six B1s with the big squad upgrade, and then three stabs, one with HU and two with link targeting, right?
My man.
Yeah, so my plan is always to save the stabs for the very last, get some shots in, and then hopefully I can go first with them the next shot. He ran two snails, and man, those hit pretty hard. And he wasn't even shooting all 11 dice at me because he was shooting me at range 4 to get the geos. If he had shot like closer, I think it would have been more devastating. But
Is the EXE snail better than the standard snail?
yeah, because it has Arsenal 3.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
I knew something was there. I wasn't sure which one was better.
yeah,
Which one
that's
was it?
that's the only thing is it has Arsenal 3. It doesn't surge to hit. The regular snail does surge to hit. But I think the Arsenal 3 is really huge because you play Kalani and your recover card, after you shoot the missiles, you just recover, right? To be fair though, I deployed all my geos because you gotta save the stats for last. I deployed all my geos like barely up. And so he had to shoot me at range 4 to get those early shots in turn one. Which he did, he was able to delete a squad. But he caused a BX to get a little bit too close.
I saw
And
that.
yeah, I had two more Geos and they just come in and just deleted. I don't know what it is. You have the BX charging squads. I know they sound good on paper and they probably are, but I played them, Rob played them, you played them. They just get deleted. And that's what happened this game.
Delete,
They just
delete,
it's
delete.
instantly got deleted.
Matt
So
Hardied.
it was a trade of one big squad of Geonosians for a squad of BXs. But I had then had my Staps and my Staps dwindled down some B2s that he had to cover behind building. Um, yeah,
This was his first time playing CIS, right?
I'm pretty sure he's played CIS before.
I thought I heard him say it was his first time.
Maybe I might be wrong. I know he's running the list for Invader League, the EXD. So he probably and to be fair, like he needs to practice, right? Because he's playing a whole different faction. He's normally an Empire player coming in playing CIS, which granted EXD plays different than a normal CIS player would play. But you got those you want to be close to your objectives. He had his B1s on the opposite ends of the map, so they weren't really daisy chaining as effectively as they could have. And we went over some tips on because pretty much all my geos did was I lost one guy, I lost one squad, and then next turn the two that I had to go up closer, I then went have them gone up a building, and then I got this from above now and start shooting, and then Staps go, and then follow up with the other big squads, which is really good in my opinion. I don't know if some facts the answer. I was just playing it to kind of go thematic with a bunch of geos. But I
So some
just
what does Sunfac do in that like for that list?
honestly nothing. And
You
honestly,
so just thematics.
well, that thematic and he's a cheap action activation, right? He's only 80 points compared to all the operatives and other commanders that you can bring.
Well, you could take a tactical droid for what, 60?
For what though? Why would I take it?
A cheap activation?
Yeah, yeah, I guess you're right.
And bolster?
Can I?
You can bolster
I could exemplar. You're
an
right.
exemplar.
I could exemplar. You're right.
That's already everything. That what does Sunfac have or does Sunfac have exemplar?
No.
No.
So
Does he
what's
have
that?
bolster?
No, what Sunfac
There you
has is
go.
he has retinue toggle, so that he gets like an aim or dodge, and then he has
But you really
um
doing anything with that?
direct Geonosian warriors. I don't.
Uh,
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I think you're right. Me and Robert
you could do
brainstormed.
comms relay on the on the TAC droid, and it's the same thing. You just hand out the order to.
No, because
Well,
it's
you
got
still
to
have to
do it
order,
to a
yeah.
V1. Yeah. I mean, I could. I we were me and Robert talking, and maybe instead of some fact, I put Maul. So that list that I played, Rob, it was 11 acts, and if I put Maul in there, it goes down to 10. I think I lose my stats, and I was toying with Maul and Cat Bane. Um, so yeah, I'm going through variations with the Geos right now. That because pretty much what Geos are just dumbed down versions of Maul. They have 3 activations, right? And I am air quoting right now
Three,
because
yeah.
you get a free jump. So you really don't get 3 activations, but essentially you get move, aim, shoot, move, shoot,
But
move,
Maul
shoot.
doesn't throw 18 dice.
That's fair. That is a good point. so,
And he
so
doesn't have a bazillion wounds.
yeah. So I wonder if like maybe I could fit Maul into the list and then pretty much just have 3 acts across the board with all my guys. Which that's why I think the steps work really well in that list is because they also get 3 acts, air quotes again, because of that free move. So I really liked how it performed. Like I said, the Geos just started deleting things. He had to spend a lot more acts to delete one of my squad, or else he was just dwindling down, which is still very effective. Like if I remember he shot at one of my Geos and it dropped me down to 4. So I'm still throwing 8 dice at you, 4 blacks, 4 whites. So that's still relatively good, right?
Do they
Um,
surge?
they do not. So no surging. Uh, there's a turn where you could play Poggle's card where they all get coordinate and you do the daisy chain. And then when they activate, they get a aim and a dodge just for activating.
That's
So
what, a 2-pip?
that's just 2 pip. 2 pip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be too strong if it was a 1-pip.
It was really good. But yeah, it was fun. I had a blast. It just started deleting things, and then we just kind of called it, and they went over it. But yeah, I felt after you beat him and then I beat him, I was just like, oh damn, that kind of feel bad right there.
Yeah, nah, he's just testing stuff, dude. I mean, when you're testing stuff, you're more likely to catch a bad hand because like this whole league, like I've been been te like not even the whole league, aside from this league, like since the before the new edition, like I was testing Dooku,
Mm.
and I was taking hard L's before I got my CIS like knowledge back because like I like I said, a lot of people don't know this, I started off as CIS and it wasn't the greatest like by any means, but I had the core concept down. And then playing everything under the sun, besides CIS, and then finally going back to it, you have to knock some dust off.
Right.
So I was taking some hard L's, just trying to relearn what I had forgotten about CIS. So, kudos to Rob for trying out some new stuff. Like, you know, um, Invader League is, I'm not saying like it's nothing, but Invader League is pretty, if not prestigious, it's pretty noteworthy because, it's the big online Legion tournament where you play everybody, distance doesn't matter. You have your brackets, you have your death brackets, where you find yourself in a bracket with like, you know, top-notch players and you're like, ah, yeah, I'm totally going to get my face kicked in. But at the end of the day, it's a cool tournament and, he's taking EX. I'm shocked he didn't take, something Empire.
Well,
But
because
not kudos to Rob, dude.
Empire is in a like bad spot. Like I feel like all the factions kind of in a bad spot besides Gar. Like if you remove Gar from the equation, I think everything relatively becomes good again. But with Gar in the equation, it's not a it's more of a what list can I bring that's not a Gar list that can beat a Gar list? And maybe EXD is the answer with the 2 snails. Who knows? Like it's still Wild West out there with all
The
these this building.
the scary part is I don't think there's a bad Gar list.
I mean, if you can make a bad guard list,
I
right?
really can you?
Okay, let's think about it. Let me go. Let me.
Two clone commanders, two
Okay.
clone commanders, six
Yeah,
core,
I got it. I got it. Just put
and
Padme
three
in there.
freaking commandos. Put
Put Padme.
Padme and R2.
Isn't that ironic? Now
No,
you
no,
just put
I
Padme in it, it makes a bad list. But it
even
looks good.
even even then, like it's weird. Like I don't I think even the most dumbed down generic Gar list, like it's good because it's they have so much going for them, and you gave them 200 more points. Like
I think personally,
no,
if you don't take arcs or commandos, I think that's the list you could beat.
hmm.
Because really it's the arcs and the commandos and Anakin that's carrying Gar right now. I
I
feel
think you.
like I don't get me wrong, I'm not saying if you don't take those that the list is bad. I'm saying it's now you have a fighting chance against it.
I think you just slot in for the art for replacing the arcs. You just slot in Cody and two ATRTs.
I don't, but see that's the thing is now with the nerf to the armor too. I think they get
The
deleted.
RTs throw red saves now,
Sure, but I still think they get deleted.
and Cody just that two dice pool, man. Like it's still lethal. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like I said,
yeah, yeah.
you just I don't. I think if you make a bad list, it has to have Barks. I think Barks are the worst option right now.
Ooh, speaking of that, I got some barks for you to paint for me.
God.
They're like medieval horses, medieval clones on these horses. I'm just like, oh yeah, I got a lot of stuff cooking for you to paint. Like there's so many lists that I got a ton more medieval clones. I'm getting more Samurai Empire, and then yeah, just I've been having a blast.
Jose's LVO trip paid for by Mr. LVO 22.
Happy to be of service. So yeah, so but other than that, man, there's really nothing else going on in the league. Do you got any real questions for us?
Yeah, we could finish with some rules questions.
Hell yeah.
Yes, I will find them, sir. All right.
take, take your time.
So one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Fine, we're just gonna go through them. You're like, Jose, we have our personal chat and just give you guys a little look behind the scenes. When we jump on this, we have like a little pre podcast meeting, and JR's like, Jose, you got any questions, my man? And I'm like, no. So JR took the initiative the other day to text me and be like, put me on blast in the chat. Jose, get some rules questions. Damn it. I brought you some
Hey,
rules questions, God damn it.
okay, all right. Hey, I gotta do that delegation, you know.
When did I become the rule guy?
I
You
don't
always came
know.
with the
I think it was just like we are all just talking about who could do what. I was just like one day I was just like, all right, Jose, can you do the rules? And you're like, yeah, I got this. And then
I agreed to that.
ever since then, I've just been asking you.
I got it. Yeah, since we cut out our Shatterpoint segment.
Yeah, yeah. There's too much going on
Too
there.
much. All right. So the first one is from Motion 34. The title is Given to Your Anger and Passing. So he says, what is the timing of given to your anger during the activation phase? If my opponent has a pass token, do they have to activate the unit of my choosing or can they pass? So you're playing Rob, he sees you have Maul, he's like, given to your anger.
Mm,
You have your advanced intel token. Can you pass or do you have to go with Maul?
you have to go with more.
You go with Maul?
You have to, yeah.
Okay. So Seth says the effects of given to your anger apply before an opponent would activate their first unit. If a player passes, they do not activate it. A player may pass while their opponent has played given to your anger. It will be resolved their first time they ultimately activate a unit. So you can pass,
Oh,
Maul
But
just has to go first the next time,
next
which is still
time,
kind of good.
yeah, that's okay, okay. I kind of like that.
So he says, hope this helps.
Mm.
So, new game, new rules. I want to say, gamers are gonna game, whether you like to think so or not. We're always looking for that little rule to break. We're
Mm.
always trying to figure out these tactical advantages. So I thought this one was pretty cool. This is by Podfree Fry. The title is "Do you have," in all capital letters, do you have to deploy in round one?
Yeah.
He says, in the first round, is it mandatory to deploy each unit? Or, for example, could you hold back some by declaring no actions with them and leave them undeployed? The rule suggests this is possible, as the only mandatory element is that an undeployed unit's first action must be to deploy, and therefore taking no actions and ending their activation still undeploy seems legitimate.
So you can?
No, can you? Do you think you could?
Oh,
The question is, do I have to deploy or can I say, sucker, I'm just not deploying yet? Which I don't see why you would want to not deploy, because then you're way behind on scoring in the second round.
yeah. I guess technically you can because when it says deploy, if you were to move, you move onto the battlefield. So I'm gonna go with yes. You could just pass and not deploy. I hope I'm wrong on that.
Because my thing, I don't know a world where this would ever be a thing, but like if you can you ever panic off the board? Like not deployed?
No,
I
I
don't think there's
don't.
nothing that
No,
can do that,
no.
right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think honestly, like I can see it being effective, I guess, on infiltrating units. Like you're just like, I'm not gonna infiltrate this turn with them. I'll infiltrate next turn with them, right? Because then they can technically move onto a point and shoot something.
All right. So Seth says yes, when an undeployed unit activates, it must deploy and may not
Good,
perform any action that is not a move until it deploys.
good.
This does mean they must use their first action to deploy and may not choose to perform zero action. So you cannot choose to not do anything. You have to get your butt on the field, soldier.
Get into the action. No wimps here.
Yeah, it's like I was sitting there, I'm like, as gamey as things are, like I didn't even think of that. Like that would have been wild. Like your turn? No, I don't think I will.
Yeah, not today.
All right, so the next one is simple. It's we're having an influx of new players, so questions like this seem like the way to go. Spotter rule, targeting self. This is by CRZ Nuts. He says
I like the name.
spotter Chris Nuts. He says spotter allows to give aim token or tokens to friendly unit or units within range 2. Can a unit with spotter target itself to get the aim token, considering that it is friendly to itself and is within 2 of itself?
Yes, I would say so.
It's Legion 101, bro.
Mhm.
Yes, the spotter X keyword does not demand tokens to be given to other friendly units. A unit may indeed select itself and given itself an aim token using spotter. So just remember, people, the only thing that stops you from giving things to yourself is other friendly. As long as the word other ain't in there, you're good. Token away, my friend.
Yep.
Next one. More game mechanics. So this is most likely another new player. Force push between movement and relentless. This is by Sergeant Saunders. He says, can I move twice with Darth Vader, then use force push, then use my relentless to perform combat?
No.
The answer is no. Seth says, no, the free attack action from Relentless is resolved after performing a move action, meaning it will occur immediately after that move action. There's no opportunity to perform the force push free card action. Darth Vader does not use force push. It is no it Darth Vader does use force push. It's no longer after his move action, and he has forgone the opportunity to use Relentless. So remember, boys, force push always before Relentless, or move force push Relentless.
Mhm.
Can never be split up like that.
Yep.
Next one is Anakin's One Pip. This is where the fun begins. This is by Papito. That's a good one. Can Anakin make a free jump to action granted by his one pip command card and a jump one action granted by his unit card during the same activation?
I feel like we covered this, and the answer was no, but I'm gonna say yes.
It's a no. Seth says no, as this will be performing a jump X action twice. Free actions do not allow a unit to perform a non-move action more than once during its activation. Booyah.
Okay, so
All
Kim,
right. Bad Batch measuring for Hunter's ability. This is by Lewis Marty. He says, when using Hunter's free action, should the range measured from any mini within the unit, much like when using a medic or measuring for coordinate, or from the Hunter mini itself? So do you measure his ability from Hunter or from the unit?
let me read Hunter real quick. Hunter,
Cheater!
hold on. It says choose a non-commander or operator of enemy unit at range one and a line of sight. Roll a black tech die from any unit in the any miniature in the unit.
Yep, he says Hunter's free card action does not specify that range must be measured from the Hunter miniature. You may determine range one using any miniature in the Bad Batch. You know what's crazy? I'm not trying to get like John riled up or nothing, or Nick, but I've yet to see Bad Batch across the table from me.
I know, and that's why I think it's crazy because I feel like people are just Anakin's the answer, Commandos and Arcs are the answer. I think if those things get nerfed, we'll start to see some Bad Batch.
Uh,
Nick's
I wouldn't
Nick
mind.
has ran Bad Batch. I just
Not against me.
well, you haven't played you yet.
Yeah, we played, but he ran. That's when he ran Leia, uh, Leia K2, Sabine, and my boy Cassian, and then like destroyed me.
Uh,
So the next one is improvise orders and defeated units. This is by Fuzzy. He says, if you pull the last of a rank from your order pool, can you use improvise orders to pull another token to keep the dead unit's order token in your pool? Essentially, it sounds like he wants to keep the pass option from the dead unit.
yeah, I'm gonna say no.
Seth says, no, you will discard the order token immediately.
Mm.
That's not how he wrote it, but that's how I picture it.
Yeah,
Immediately.
get out of
And
here.
may pass or draw another as described in the choose a unit to activate or pass entry. Next one is Tactical Strike and Recon Intel. This is by Myth's Legend. He says, if I tactical strike round one and say deploy death troopers using speed one from the recon intel, would they benefit from tactical one granted to them from the command card?
Say that one more time.
If he plays tac strike round one and he deploys death troopers using speed one from them having recon, does he get the benefit of tactical one granted to him from the command card?
Yes. Did you freeze? Oh, oh, you didn't hear me, huh?
No, you've broke up, I guess.
Oh, yes, you do.
Yeah, it's pretty much the card is like reduce your speed, but recon has you moving at speed one anyways.
Hmm.
So good old tactical, that's the way it should have always been. So this one I thought was interesting, just based on the game me and Rob played. This is very specific to the game we played, making me think like having Convader like was like the move. Um, it says, can Dauntless or Compel panic the respective unit?
Yeah.
So this is by Kernstall. He says use compel or dauntless when a unit is suppressed and meets the other requirements. If a unit uses one of those abilities but then would become panicked, what happens to the remaining action? I believe that since the respective units check how many actions they have after the rally step, there would be no impact on their one suppressed action. I have to put an example scenario. He says a squad of Black Sun enforcers outside of three of a commander have one suppression. They don't have a Vigo upgrade, so they're only Courage one. They don't remove any suppression during the rally. They are suppressed. They use Dauntless to get a free move action and then gain a suppression token. They now have 2 suppression and are now panicked. Can they perform their second action or does their activation immediately end?
Hmm. Ooh.
Because panic is now checked 24/7.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to say it immediately ends.
Yep. Seth comes at him and says they are panicked. They may complete their activation as they are not panicked at the beginning of their perform action step. So they are panicked, so they would just stop. And that was the last one.
Mhm.
Boom. I did my homework for the week.
Till next week. Dun. So, cool. You got any games set up for next week?
No, let me check my schedule. Because I know what you're asking. You're asking to come kick my face in.
Well, I
We're,
know,
we're stat brothers now, bro. You can't come and abuse me.
bro, we gotta do stat versus stat. It's the only way.
Next week I have Thursday off for the Cowboy game, but the Cowboy game's not until the evening, so we could probably schedule something. I just have to talk to the wife. If you
Yeah,
want to get our, we haven't played
sure.
in a minute.
Yeah, I'll be down. I'll definitely get our exhibition. So Thursday, I can come over. You come over, whatever works. I know I have a game with Daniel next Sunday, so that's our league game.
I'm
That'll be fun.
excited for that. To
Yeah,
see
Daniel.
501st against your
Mhm.
list. I'm not going to mention
Daniel
it.
Daniel joined the bandwagon of the meta. He's on the
Disappointed, Daniel. I'm disappointed in you.
he's on the if you can't beat him, might as well join them. So no, but yeah, it'd be fun. We'll see what happens. I want to see. I've yet to fight a 501st list that like just decimates me yet. I'm not
Is he
saying he can't.
running?
I'm not saying he can't decimate me. I'm just saying that like see how the cog starts working because we mostly
I
have
think
fire players in our local scene.
it's going to come down to if he can get in or not, or if you can get in or not, and how much damage you take getting in. Because I think that throwing 18 dice against any Gar list is gonna damage them a lot
That's if I
unless he
bring that
roll.
list. I don't know if I want to bring that list. I don't know what list I'm bringing, to be honest. So we'll see.
Is he running traditional 501st or does he have his own 501st concoction?
I'm only assuming he is only because of when the first rules changed. That was what he put, and he's playing guard for the league. So I'm assuming that's what he's gonna bring, but I could be wrong. You never know. Daniel kind of throws some unpredictable in there sometimes, so you never know what
Bro,
he's gonna
just
do.
take Invasion Force. You can use my B1s.
I want to take Tempest Force with 3 ATSTs. I want to see how that does. So
Armor's good. Armor's good.
hell yeah, it is. But anyways, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for listening. And Jose, as always, thank you for joining us today. And until next time, guys, we'll see you guys later.
Later.